we're trying to build a blueprint for advancement. You guys have your individual blueprints and how you want to advance your life, but again, sooner or later, it has to be on the talented 10th level. So again, we had to have a shared vision. If you're here, it's because you're hopefully have faith and are somewhat following my vision. I have 2 visions for y'all. Individually, successful. Whatever goal and dream you have in your life, my number 1 goal is making sure you get there. My second goal is making sure that as you accomplish your goals, we're impacting society as a whole. And the impact I want to have is, again, elimination of all gaps. Economical gaps, home ownership gaps, incarceration gaps, education gaps, none of those exist anymore. Now, we've never had that state in America. Our whole existence here in America, we've been behind, we've been persecuted, marginalized, etc., etc. Somebody told me this, there's a critic, like, when do you think Jesus is coming back? And we read through the Bible and talk about all the different signs that you will see when Jesus is coming back. And the one thing I said that has never, because they was like, all this stuff has happened before. Everything you read, it's been famines before, it's been earthquakes, it's been exile. I said, you know one thing that the world has never seen? African Americans excelling. And so I said, to me, that's when Jesus is going to come back. When African Americans are accomplishing more or at least the same as everybody else. Because that's never been seen. You can say everything you can think of. Ecclesiastes say this: there's nothing new up under the sun. Yep. There is something new up under the sun. If we can accomplish this goal, that's new up under the sun. First of all, we're the youngest race on the planet. Right? 500 years ago, we didn't even exist. Black Americans. But because of years of mixing blood with all the different races, we're a whole new race. So not only is that a fact to me, but it's all a fact. The world has yet to see black people thriving in America. And so, saying all that to say, that's my vision. To do something that's never been done before. And then we have to have a shared approach. And this is the hard part right here, the strategy. How do we make it happen? That's the hardest part. So I want you guys to imagine is this. So one thing, and I was talking to Paul about this, like right before the meeting, when black people set their goals, especially as a group of people, we reference white people and we reference racism. It's almost like we ask racism and white people, do I have a right to have this dream? That makes sense? Instead of us saying, this is what I want to do, let's go do it, it's almost like, will racism let me? Will the man let me? Will the white man let me? And what I want you guys to be thinking about is, imagine that racism didn't even exist. Imagine we in this room, and we're behind, and we have the resources, the intelligence, the unity, everything that's necessary to build what it is we want. No excuses. You can't say the man is keeping us down. And that's what I want you guys to have that vantage point of, what they say, if you build it, they will come. Yep. Having that vantage point of, we can build this. There's no barriers to it. We just have to be committed to it. And keep that in mind. So there's 8 areas that I feel like we need to focus on. 8 areas as it relates to the dimensions of society. And it goes with ethics. When I say ethics, and I explain some of this, empowerment, mental and emotional empowerment, engagement, meaning how do we engage with each other, education, employment, entrepreneurship, economics, and entertainment. When I say ethics, what I mean is this. What are our priorities as a group? What are our pursuits, our passions, and what are our principles? And so, growing up in this country, being evolved in a state of oppression, sometimes your ethics and your motivation system can be skewed because you think survival. You don't think thrive, you don't think legacy, you think survival. And so when you're thinking in a survival state, you're in a panic state. When you panic, you don't think. When you don't think, you make bad decisions. And I think collectively, society has put us in a place where we prioritize things that shouldn't be a priority. Right? So if you live, here's an example, class example, you live in a country where you told every day you ain't shit. It messes with your self-esteem. You get a little money, what the first thing you want to do? Fix your self-esteem. Yeah. Yep. So now instead of investing or saving or doing something a little more productive, I'm gonna give you some Jordans. No, empowerment, just how we think. When you think of empowerment, this is what empowerment means. Your sense and your ability, or that you basically this. I have the power to create the future that I want for myself. If you're disempowered, you might have a vision, but you feel like I just can't do it. something's going to go wrong, I lack some ability, some resource, some connection, and I can't make it happen. When you are empowered, it's like, I want a slice of that pizza. I feel empowered that I can walk over here and give me a slice of pizza. Being competitive, we in a capitalistic society. As a black man, you are messed up if you're not competitive. If you don't know how to compete in a capitalistic system, you're going to always be behind. Capitalism is based upon maximum profit and competition. And the maximum profit ever made in this country was what? Slavery. Slavery. Free labor for the construction of a whole country. Maximum, it's based on greed, profit, and competition. You can't sit here in America as a black man and be willy-nilly. Let's see what happens. No, you have to be aggressive. You have to go for it. Just reality, because that's what they're doing, right? Esteem, you gotta value yourself. You have to quit letting people access you. That's the number one thing. When you value something, you don't let everybody access what you value. For y'all that got babies and kids, everybody can't watch your baby. Because the value I have on this baby, everybody can't be around it. It's the same with you. You let everybody around you, you do all kind of stuff, you be in any type of environment because you're not valuing yourself. And it's important as a people, we have to be intentional about sustaining our value. Because again, we're told every day that, bottom of the barrel, right? Niggas ain't shit. That's basically what we told. And so if you're not intentional about protecting your identity, your self-esteem, you're going to lose efficacy, because that's what's next. If I don't have no value, it must be because I can't control my future. I don't have any power over my life. So that means I don't have value. And then your whole self-concept, you start to come across like that. You come across as a person with no value. And collectively, sometimes we get in that flow of things. I'm almost done. We're not engagement. 5 minutes. I think this is probably the most important. It's like the building block. When I say engagement, it's like how as black males, starting with just the talented 10, but I mean even further outside of that, how do we engage each other? And so one of the tragedies of American history is that it was built into us not to even trust each other. Yeah. And I'm convinced, when we talk about white people and white racism, the way white people see black males is how black people see black males. In a lot of situations. The way white people see black males is the same way black people see black males. And so just like they don't trust us, they think we lazy, they think we're not gonna give a best effort, they think we're not smart, we're not trustworthy, we'll cheat on them, we'll steal, all that. That's how we feel about each other too. So when we come into a situation like this, instead of being like, I'm a build with your brother, it makes it, it's like, what's his angle? Right. It's like, what's his angle? That raised eyebrow, what's his angle? Gotta be something. So what he basically talking about is weaponizing your intelligence. It goes back to that power thing. The purpose of a weapon is to protect and to take. If a person has a gun on them, they're trying to protect something or they're trying to take something. And that's what the purpose of your brain is. It's to protect what you got and take what you want. And so you want to think about, like you said, that weapon there. He looked around his environment, he figured out what he wanted. Then he used his intelligence to get it. And that's what you guys have to remember, that we, as men especially, but especially black men, we've been taught you do stuff by force. You muscle people a lot of stuff and intimidate on the XL. Well, no, we thinkers now. It's an information age. And you remember they used to say it's survival of the fittest. It's now survival of the smartest or the most informed. That's who survives and that's who evolves and that's who gets the spoils of life. It's the same with us. Instead of being critical of people and wondering what everybody's about, just let time reveal itself. And the number one objective that we all have at this moment is solving a problem. And that's one thing that white people do well. He's gonna get picked on a lot. He comes They do well at this one thing. They'll hate each other's guts, but they'll work together. They will work together for the sake of profit and capitalism. We don't want to do that. It's almost like, remember in school, if you didn't like your teacher, you didn't want to learn? Remember that? You can't do that. Y'all might see one day look across the table like, oh, I ain't feeling that cat. But you still need to work with him. If he's bringing a great idea to the table, you need to build on that idea. Because right now, our currency, we ain't got no money, no funding. This is either out of pocket or prayer, right? The currency right now for us is information and ideas and intelligence. That's the money system in here. And then also the other piece of currency is social currency. The ability to say, okay, this brother, he need a conversation. Something went on in like he needs somebody to talk to. That's currency. I'm gonna empower you. You give me some hope, I give you some faith. You give me a conversation, I'll be an ear. Does that make sense? So the currency in here is information, intelligence, but also interaction. As a man, that's why I'm glad we're doing the journal thing. You have to know how you wired. Another way to put that is, you have to know how people, places, things, and events have affected you.
Self-awareness.
Exactly. If you're running around, getting faded by life, stole on, and you're not thinking about why is this happening? How did it affect me? What are my weaknesses now? But then what are my strengths? You have to do that inventory and think about how have the people in my life. Think about the most impactful people in your life over the course of your life, and then be like, okay, how did that impact me? How did this person change change my personality? Because most of us were born different than who we are today. It's just how it works. Mm-hmm. When we were born, we were a totally different person. But because of people, places, things, and events, we have evolved into who we are today. We can't go back, right? Nobody can go back and remember that pure kid and become that pure. Life is too late now. So what we do have power over is who we become, right? And so you got to be thinking about that self-awareness. And I think as Black Americans, our awareness is so jaded because of stigma. You know, I always look at America as a parent. A parent telling you stupid, you dumb, you ugly, you ain't gonna never be nothing every day, that impacts your personality. Your whole scheme is impacted. And I feel like that's why Black people are, like, for lack of better terms, at the bottom, because we have the most oppression. So if you had a mother with 4 kids and she oppressed those children at different degrees, right? It can be predicted that the kid she oppressed them all, but the kid with the most oppression gonna perform the least, right? Mm-hmm. And the kid with the least oppression is gonna be a little better. And that's how it is for us in America. Statistically speaking, research shows it. Black males are the most hated portion of the population. That impacts us because we feel it. Verbally and non-verbally, when we're communicating, you just feel it. It's like a woman walking in the club. A hot woman walking in the club, she gonna feel it. She getting a certain type of attention. The same with us. We walk into spaces and settings, we get a certain type of energy. You just can't deny it. And so you can have you play dumb and fake like, no, I ain't. No, it's real. 52% of white people say they don't like Black people. Having a burger for it. That's 100-something million people. And you walk past them people every day, all day. But again, intentionality. Do I let that motivate me or demotivate me? Do I let that give me passion, or do I cause that to cause me to be disempowered? So be thinking of that.